answering to PEP question. That's the aim. That's the purpose of this class, to help us. If you want to approach the question, you don't just say it. You first of all, if they ask what is government, your answer should be government you should start like that. Your question should be straightforward and throw more light on. If it's possible to give an example, it actually give you extra mark. So in case of next time, like I said, government is an agency or machinery in which the will of the state is formulated, expressed, and attained. And then it is an organized body. It is an organized body. Of course, government is an organized body. That controls the state, controlled what's happening in the country. So when you want to define government, say government is an agency in which the will of the state is formulated. It is an organization or a body through which a state or a community is ruled, or it's an authority through which the body of a state or a group of people is ruled. So governments, they make different laws, they enforce law, they maintain order, they provide public service. That will lead us to the functions of government. So in answering question, maybe you see what are the functions of government, because sometimes you don't have time, 3 hours. What are the functions of government? You tell us the functions of government are the main responsibilities a government perform. They are the main responsibility a government perform to serve the citizen. And these include, of course, maintenance of law and order. Government, they maintain laws, they provide security, they manage the economy, anything you can think of, employment, protection of life and property, maintain laws and orders, protecting the citizens, promoting social welfare. There are a lot. Defense of the country. These are the functions of government. Now, if you should ask, what are the reasons for studying government? There are a lot of reasons for studying government. Without thinking, sometimes the question said we can even use our head. Why do you think people study government? To widen people's knowledge. For what? Political education. The type of system of government we're operating, so that you know the type of system of government we have. So that you will know things that happened in the past, mistake of the past, conflict resolution, and the rest. Then now, what is politics? What is politics? If we come across the question, politics, how are we going to answer it? Just imagine, government question is straightforward. It's not as literature. And most time questions are repeated. So if we are asked, what is politics? You should know politics is a process of making decision. Politics is a process of making decision. If you have a simpler definition to this, you can also raise up your hand and I will give you the opportunity to answer. So politics is the process of making decisions that apply to what members of a group, particularly with a state or a community. So like politics is the process through which people make decisions about how a society or a country should be governed. That's politics. Simple as that. It's a process by which people make decisions about how the society or country should be governed. Is that clear? I think that's the simplest definition I can give. It has to do with the way government make rules and law to manage human society. That is politics. Now, there are different approaches to the study of government. There are different approaches to the study of government. Am I too fast?
No.
No.
Okay. I believe we've done all of this. It's just a way for us to remember. If I ask questions, please, you guys will answer too. So now, if you see your exam question, maybe for example, your they give you a question and you just see. Sometimes they will just give you option like explain this philosophical approach, normative approach. Almost and they will say list the method of approaches to the study, the method of approach to the study of government and polities. I remember one question that I just stated, they just listed them and said explain this. That's why you have to learn everything. You have to know everything, because most time if you say okay, I'm learning this one I don't know it, I cannot can I don't think I understand it, after all it will not come out, then you are deceiving yourself. Learn everything, because most time they will just list it and you'll be the one to explain. Now, what are the method of approach to the study of government? Who can list it? The method of approach. Method of approach. We have method of approach to the study of government, right? And I don't have the syllabus with me. I'm trying to look for it. Then we have relationship with other discipline. Most time, under the relationship, method of approach are also mentioned. So now, what are the method of approach to government and politics? At least if somebody can list like 4, it's okay. So what are the methods?
Can you say we have, good evening, can you say we have the qualitative approach?
Are you saying, or are you not sure? You're asking me, or you're answering
Okay,
the
no,
question?
okay, no, let me say it. We
Have
have the
feel
quantitative approach, qualitative
also
approach, traditional approach, philosophical approach, comparative approach, empirical approach, institutional approach, historical approach.
Okay. Now, from these approaches, can you explain the philosophical approach?
Okay, yes, I can. Yes, I can.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we can say the philosophical approach can be defined, or let's say it examines the fundamental questions about government, politics, and justice. Try that.
Okay, who else wants to give us another definition different from that? Okay, now the philosophical approach, actually, you are very correct. The philosophical approach is focused on asking deep questions, critical questions. It asks questions about, please listen. Philosophical approach focuses on asking deep questions. Philosophy, philosophy, when you talk about philosophy, it deals with knowledge. You want to know, you're asking questions. So it actually focuses on asking deep questions, critical questions about government, about power, about justice, freedom, rights. They try to understand the ideal form of government, what make laws an authority legitimate or just. That's the philosophical approach. I don't know if you understand. It's based on ideas, it's based on value, based on principle, rather than facts or institution alone. And I said it seek to answer the question about government, what ought to be, and what the best form of government is. That's philosophical approach, asking deep critical questions. Now, they said it focuses on the concept of justice, right, democracy, good governance. You can just add your examples. When you add those examples, at least they will give you a good mark for it. That's the philosophical approach. I hope you understand. Now, when you talk about the normative approach deals with how things ought to be normal. That's the normative approach. How things ought to be in politics. It focuses on the value, the ethical standards. It tries to answer questions of what is right, fair, or just in political life. It asks the question, what is the form of government? What is justice? What rights should citizens have? So it focuses on the values and ethics of people. Then we move to, am I too fast?
No, you are
Please, I
not.
have a question. I have a question.
Okay, ask.
So you can say the normative approach is, maybe let's say that it's what the societies ought to be and not what it is. Like,
Yes, what it ought to be rather than what it is. For example,
okay.
how is government supposed to, how is the democracy supposed to be? It's supposed to be free, fair, right? But is that what it is? No.
Um,
People are supposed to be able to air their view. But is that what it is? No.
um,
So it's what it ought to be rather than what it is, what's
it is
happening now.
right now. Yeah.
I don't know if you understand. So when you talk about the normative approach, just know what it ought to be and not what it is. What is the best form of government? They said democracy. Is the democracy, is it operating well in the country? Are people able to express themselves? Do we have freedom? Do we have rights? Are we enjoying the privilege of what? Of our
Ab-
fundamental rights? Those
Absolutely
are the
no.
questions. I hope you guys understand. If you have any
Absolutely no.
question, you can.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so at least I'm giving you a perfect way, even without reading you say philosophical approach. It's thinking, asking critical questions. If you talk about normative approach, it focuses on these with things that ought, how things ought to be in politics, how things ought to be in politics. It focuses on the value, the ethical standard, rather than just fact and data. It's answer the question, what is right, what is fair, what is just. That's just it. Then the other approach is, am I too fast? We have the institutional approach. Institutional approach. Please, when I finish, I think I will ask questions so that I will know you guys are actually following. When you talk about institution, what comes to your mind? At least sometimes for you to answer Jupep question, you have to understand it. Institution approach. When you say institution, what comes to your mind? Institution approach focuses on the
Papa, you know the
structure
online.
of government.
You know the online.
Please mute your mic. Mute your mic. Mute your
Sorry,
mic.
sorry. You know the online.
Can you mute your mic? Okay, who is raising hand? You have a question, ask.
Okay, good evening. Please, can you define the philosophical approach again? I didn't really get it because it's kind of similar to the definition of normative. So if you can please define it again. Thank you.
The philosophical approach is the study of government based on ideas rather than facts. It answers critical questions, it asks critical questions, deep questions about government, about power, about justice, about freedom, because it wants to know how they operate. Do
Okay,
you get
thank
it?
you. Yeah,
All
thank
right.
you.
Then we come to institutional approach. Institution, when you say institution, what does that mean? It means the structure of government. It focuses on the structure, their rule, functions, the different institutions. What are the institutions of government? There, we have the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, political party, the constitution. All these are different structures of government. So it focuses on the structure of government, how they are designed, and how they affect our political behavior. I hope it's understandable. Yeah, okay, it's just examining the former institution and structure. It focuses on the different institution of government, the different structure. Then you can now mention your example, like the legislature. Now, if you want to just butter your buttress your point, You can just say like the executive, they implement laws, the legislation, they make law, the judiciary, they interpret the law, and other institutions such as the political parties, the civil service, and what? The constitution. They examine the power and functions of these different structures, these different institutions. Studying how National Assembly, how they make laws, how laws are made, the duties of the president, studying the Supreme Court, comparing their different powers, their different functions, like the functions of the executive, legislature, and what the judiciary. These are the institutions. I hope I'm clear. So how many have I mentioned? I hope you guys are understanding what I'm saying. Then now we'll talk about the historical approach. History. When they say explain the historical approach, don't think it's a difficult question. Historical approach has to do with the study of past events, things that has happened in the past, and how they shaped the future, how they shaped the present and the future. In studying historical approach, we talk about the system of government of the past, the structure of the political parties, the leaders, understanding how they evolve, and how it affects the present. You agree with me that there are some decisions that they made in the past that is affecting us now. So these are what? Historical approach. You study the past, the events that happened in the past, understand how politics and events and how they affect the present, even how they will affect the future, because the decision we make today will affect the future. For example, we have the tax law that was implemented January 1st. Do you think this thing will affect the future? These are the questions that historical approach answered. I hope I'm communicating. All right. Then we talk about the qualitative and the quantitative. Now, can you tell me the difference between the qualitative approach and the quantitative approach?
Can I answer?
Yeah, you're free.
Okay, the qualitative approach, it deals with describing in-depth analysis, while the quantitative deals with statistics method of results. That is, let's say the quantitative deals in numeric values, while qualitative deals in describing in-depth analysis.
Wait, can I add something?
Yes, you're free.
Okay, I think when you talk about qualitative is like analysis through interviews, like words, conferences, all of this. While quantitative has to do with numerical values, collecting statistical information, keeping them up, just analyzing them.
Okay. Who else want to try?
I want to try.
All right.
Qualitative approach. It focuses on understanding the meaning, underlining like action, object, or phenomenon. Then quantitative, it consists of studies like consent that can be analyzed in form of numbers based on more directly on its original plans and its results.
Yeah. Okay. All of you are actually correct. So when you talk about the qualitative, let's talk about the qualitative approach first. Now, the qualitative approach is a research method, because I want everything to stick. I don't want us to use big grammar so that the examiner will not think as will not be seeing the questions as if they are very difficult, rather they are not, but because we don't understand it, we're unable to answer it. So now qualitative actually deals with research method. It focuses on understanding human experience, their behavior. Why do people behave like this? Their behavior, and social phenomena through what? The detailed non-numerical data instead of measuring or counting things. If you want to take the census of the country, you will use quantitative method by counting. But in qualitative method, you just have to just do opinion poll, asking questions, right? For example, if you want to count number of people that participated in election, they have to vote and you have to count the vote. But in qualitative method, it doesn't, you just have to ask question, please, how many people do you think appear here? And sometimes they may not even be correct, if you agree with me. They may not be correct. So it's a research method, understanding human experience, their behavior. Why do people behave like this? They ask that question. Why are people showing apathy? They ask that question. Why are people not coming out to vote? It asks that question. Rather than asking how many people voted or how many people refused to vote, it asks why are people not coming out to vote? Why are people not participating in politics? Instead of how many persons participated in politics, how many people voted during the election, which is the quantitative, it asks why are people not coming out to vote? That's it, research, right? Now, quantitative approach, like I said, is a research method that focuses on collection and analyzing numerical data to identify. That's quantitative. It actually focuses on collecting data. Remember the difference. Qualitative approach is just focusing on research method, understanding human experience, their behavior, not numerical data. So it's the opposite of quantitative. But quantitative actually do research method, focusing on collecting data, analyzing numerical data, identifying pattern, hypothesis, emphasis, subjectivity, and statistics. Please mute your mic. So in quantitative approach, they use this number and measuring that data. They rely on survey, opinion polls, election results, like I said. They use statistic technique to analyze data. For example, now sometimes it's very good you make example. You can say analyzing the election result to determine voting pattern, who win. Rather than just like you can even count. You conduct survey. You understand? But in qualitative, you just use description. How many persons? You just use description. You just seek to understand why people act in a certain way. For example, if quantitative is counting the number of voters, if quantitative is counting the number of votes, qualitative, we interview voters to understand why they supported a particular candidate. I hope you understand. I'm trying to explain it in a simpler way so that at least it will stick. If quantitative is counting the number of votes, qualitative is interviewing people to understand why they are supporting this particular person. That's why people behave the way they behave. They study their behavior and the rest. I hope you understand. Now we move to behavioral approach. We don't know which of the approach. They might just say, explain these approaches. Philosophical approach, institutional approach. At least now it's thinking, when we see those questions, we know it's not a difficult. It's not. Okay, you want to ask, Imam, you want to ask a question? Go ahead, please. Imam, Shay, am I right? You raised your hand. Okay, let's continue. Now we're moving to the behavioral approach. I hope I will be able to finish this. In behavioral approach, or maybe I will leave some for you to go and study. When you say behavioral approach, like I said, when we see the question, don't think they are big, difficult question. If you understand them, you can easily answer it. So the behavioral approach to politics focuses on studying how individuals actually behave. It's similar to quantitative, right? but not same. Rather than analyzing political system or institutional theory, it uses method from psychological or sociological to understand political actions and their attitude. It's a method of studying government. It focuses on the actual political behavior of individuals and groups, their culture, their behavior towards politics. It's similar with quantitative, but why quantitative is different is that qualitative is different is that you are studying government that focuses on understanding the people's opinion, their experiences, their attitude, their belief, their behavior. It's opposite of quantitative. Instead of counting votes, they rather ask questions to know why people participate, right? Then in behavioral approach, study their different behavioral, behavior, the behavior of the individuals. It focuses on political behavior of individual and group. Observation, survey, interview, questioning, statistic is just similar with quantitative. Now, the other approach we are going to look at, I just want to be fast because the time is counting. The other approach is the empirical approach to politics. It involves studying political phenomena based on observable facts, evidence, real-world data, what's happening, not the opinion of the people, but it focuses on what is happening, what people are seeing, the evidence. That is empirical. Now we're moving straight to the relationship between other disciplines. And I think that is simple because if you understand the approaches, you can easily explain the relationship with other disciplines like history. Like we said, history focuses on studying the past events, what happened in the past, right? Then we'll talk about law and politics. You know, law na linked to define the power and limits of political institution, how power is exercised. Then we'll talk about the economics relationship between government and economic, actually how government influence economic and how economic influence government. That's the definition. Politics and economic, how they influence each other, how they influence the decision of each other, the taxation, budgeting, economic development. Then we'll talk about geography. Geography plays the role of shaping, it's just focuses on the boundaries, focuses on resources, locations, disputes and law of government. You understand geography. Then when we talk about sociological, it talks about understanding how society and social group affect politics. Then we'll go to psychological, like we've said, explain people's behavior, their thinking. Then we'll talk about political theory. This deal with idea and principle that guide politics, political, economic. It's just like similar things. When you talk about international relations, we know what is international relation, right? Examine how different countries interact with one another. International relation. That's why I said sometimes we need to understand the question. So international relation, how two countries interact with each other, like the UN. Then public administration talks about, it focuses on how public policies and implementation. It focuses on government policies, public policies, how policies are implemented by the government. The resources are managed by the government. That's public administration. We'll talk about the local government. It's the study of government from the grassroots, cover local councils and the rest. Then we'll talk about peace and conflict. It's the study of how conflict resolution promote how they promote peace, different countries promote dispute, resolve disputes and the rest. Then we'll talk about security studies and we have development studies. These are the relationship or scope of government and politics. Like I said, we don't have time, so we'll just rush through most of the thing. And I think I would not want to talk about what is a state, what is what is a presidential system of government, parliamentary system of government, because those things are very easy and they are simple. So now my questions is, do you understand? Do you have any questions? Should I ask my question before we move to the next? Or do you have any question before we move to the next topic? Do you have any question? Do you understand? Should I ask my question? Somebody is giving thumbs down. You don't understand. Ask your question. Ask your question.
Sorry, Ma. Could you please redefine the meaning of imperial approach to government? I did not really get that one.
Empirical approach.
Yes, empirical. Sorry.
All right. Now, we said the empirical approach is a method of studying of government based on like you observe facts, observable facts, evidence. Instead of taking a poll and asking different people what happened, you are seeing the evidence. So it's based on evidence, practical experience, rather than just the opinion of people. You
Empirical,
understand?
that is empirical simply means the in-depth.
So it's a method of studying government based on observing facts, evidence, like practical experience. It doesn't just opinion based or what people believe. You understand? That's not it. It just go deep on observing evidence. You want to ask another question?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ask.
Well, please, you said that you don't talk about the parliamentary and presidential system. Please, can you talk about it?
Okay, I thought it was kind of simple. We actually okay.
Yeah, sorry. This one don't whine me. This person
All
don't
right.
do something like
I
that.
never wanted to talk about that one because I feel it's actually easy.
Please talk about it,
We
please.
have a lot of things to really cover. Yeah, ask your question. Your hand is raised. I cannot really see everybody. So when you raise your hand, you can type your question.
Good evening, ma.
Ask your question. I'm listening.
Ma, I
Yeah.
want to ask, please, can you go again concerning that philological approach?
Theological,
Philological approach.
philosophical approach.
Yes, ma.
That's taking us back. All right. Philosophical approach, like I said, it's studying of government based on what you know. What is philosophical? Asking critical questions,
Logic.
idea. What government,
Sorry.
like it's asking
Go.
the value,
Logic.
the ethics, the ideal. You know, philosophical, it thinks with asking deep questions, deep research about government. How is government operate? Well, the political system, the different types of government, justice. That's just it. It examines the purpose and nature of government, asks questions about government, about politics, about values, about ethics. You understand it now? Philosophical. Is that clear? Is that clear enough? All right. Now we'll be moving to the next topic. I never wanted to discuss this, but it seems some of us are really want a detailed explanation based on, but we'll be fast. So if I ask question, I will not go in full detail because we've been taught. So we're going to talk about the power, authority, we talk about states and the rest. Now we already know what is power. I don't know if I should be asking that question. When you say power, power is the capacity to affect other people's behavior. Power is the ability to affect other people's behavior through the use of sanction. It uses force, right?
Force,
That's
go.
powerful. Yes, it uses force. But because power uses force does not mean it cannot be legitimate. Power can be legitimate and illegitimate. We know what is legitimate, right? So power can either be legitimate or illegitimate. So when you see this question, maybe for example, you see what, because like I said, government and CRS, their questions are straightforward. They don't ask you critical questions. They are mostly straightforward. You just see, for example, what is power? The definition should be power is the capacity to affect other people's behavior through the use of sanction. Is the ability or capacity of an individual, group, or institution to influence or control the actions of people. So power can be either legitimate or illegitimate. It can be accepted or not accepted. Like military power. So these are like examples. Then when you talk about forms of power, we have the political power, we have the economic power, we have the military power and physical power. I believe we've been taught, right? So there's no need explaining what political power is or what economic power is. Or should I ask, what is political power? Anybody can answer.
Can I say it?
Yeah, you can say it.
Okay, political power is like elected president or prime
Now,
minister of a
please,
state.
excuse me, wait. I don't want you to be asked, please, I don't want your question to be, you want to answer question, don't say it's like. That's it can they can remove mark from you. Saying is like it means you are not certain. You understand? Don't use this thing is like. Go straight. Political power is not political power is like. It gives that vibe that oh this person does not understand. Maybe he's doing does not understand what he's asking, just like want to. So for you to be very please someone your mic is on. No, it's not look as if you don't know what you are doing. I don't want something like it's like, or for example, now. Your question should be straightforward. Then when you want to give example in between, we know you are giving example. Is that understood? All right. So let's hear from you again.
Okay, political power. Here, all elected presidents or prime minister of a state or a country possesses political power. Like power is derived from people during election and the constitution.
Shas, let's hear from you.
All right. Political power is a power vested in the person occupying a political office based on the constitution.
Very good. Who else wants to answer? I think somebody raises hand too.
Okay, political power is the ability of a government, a group of people or a person to influence the decisions and actions of individuals in the society, and this power is derived from the constitution.
All right, that's correct. Very correct. Charles, you want to say something?
Not really. That's fine.
Alexander, you raised your hand. You want to say something? You can actually say. We can't really hear you. Okay, let's continue. There's no time. Now, political power, like we said, we have different forms of power. We have forms of power. We have the political power, which you said is derived from different, like president, elected president, prime minister, those in position that is occupying a particular position. Now, when you talk about economic power, what does economic power mean? It's an individual possessing an economic resources. For example, Dangote is a very perfect example for economic power. Dangote he possesses a lot of economic resources, right? He has a lot of money. In a way, you would say Dangote is influencing the economic system of the country. You agree with me? That Dangote is influencing the economic system of the country because almost everything now, with even you hardly see another company selling cement. Can you tell me another cement aside cement company aside Dangote? Do you know any others? Even if there are cement companies, they are very scarce. You don't see them easily. Even in Indomie now we have Dangote, salt, Dangote, sugar, Dangote, everything. So in a way, he has power. He can control the economic system. If anything goes wrong with cement now or cement scarcity, it will affect the country because Dangote is supplying. And then when there's no, like when Dangote run out of cement, a lot of people will be like, oh, things are scarce, things are scarce, all there. So Dangote is a perfect example. So an individual in the possession of economic resources can influence what? Can influence government, can influence the system. Now we'll talk about military power. Military power, we all know the armed force. The armed force. And then we talk about physical power, which is our normal human power. Force. That is it. Then when you talk about the sources of power, if you ask, list the sources of power, how will you tailor that answer? What are the sources of power? Okay, without wasting time, we said the sources of power, power can be derived from the Constitution. Power can be derived from the Constitution because the Constitution states how governments operate, the type of political system we have, how election is being done. Please mute your mind. How election is done. Now, please take note. You can be asked simple question. And if you put your mind in difficult things and expo, like I said, JUPEP, they just change their approach. They can choose to twist question. Your question may be different from another person's own. So if you think you want to pay for expo, don't just try it. So they may ask you simple question. I remember when I wanted to write exam, somebody were like, they will ask what is ECOWAS, the characteristic of these functions of ECOWAS. I'm like, where did you get this thing from? And to our greatest surprise, they asked the simplest question: what is citizenship? What is citizenship? Types of citizenship. What is political party? What is legitimacy? And you could see people panicking. You'd be like, these are simple questions now. Even without study, you know what is citizenship. And yet people are panicking because they just depend on us, but their money is gone and they were just biting their fingers. But they are simple questions. That's why I said prepare yourself for both the difficult and what the simple questions. You don't know, but to prep is simple. Don't panic. If you panic, you will not do well. Anything that makes you to panic, I say, Jesus, people are failing. Oh, Jesus, how will I even write? The paper is very bulky. I hope the question, the question, this person one is different from my own. How will I answer it? Don't panic. Oh, if you enter the exam or panicking, you will not do well. Settle, relax, be confident. Say to yourself, I can do it, and you will do it. So most of the time, the simple questions are the ones that are more difficult because we want to focus on those difficult parts because they made us to believe that JPEP is difficult. It's not. Now, if they say the sources of power, the constitution is a source of power, like I said. Now, power can be gotten through coercion. What is coercion? When you say coercion
Coercion.
means force. Then we talk about charisma. Power can be achieved through charisma. What is charisma? Different people, intelligence, and what?
Personal.
Exactly.
Individual.
Then power can also be um, acquired through different economic resources, like I said, Dangote. If you have money and you have good business that you know will be beneficial to the country, you can influence the economic system of the country. Even central bank is influencing the economic system of the country because they produce the money. Without central bank, there is no money. Just as we have now, without Dangote, there is no cement. That's it. Now, power can be possessed through what? Inheritance. That would be traditionally. Now, it take us to authority. What is authority? Authority is quite different from power. Authority is always legitimate, unlike power that is either legitimate or illegitimate. Now, authority refers to the formal or legal right. It's always a legal right. If you want to define authority, know that authority is the legal right to enforce laws. It's a legal right to enforce law. Please mute your mic. So I will not go into detail of explaining. I know this because this subject is actually simple. We have different types of authority. We have traditional authority, charismatic authority, delegated authority, political authority, similar to power. And we have different sources of authority too, right? Now we'll move to the next, which is legitimacy. What is legitimacy? I told you 2024 question, that was the question they asked. They said, what is legitimacy and the factors that determine legitimacy? Now, just imagine you are in the exam hall and this question was thrown to you. What is legitimacy? And list 5 factors that determine legitimacy. How would you answer your question? Let me hear from you guys.
Um,
All right, you can answer. I can hear you. What is legitimacy? And list 5 factors that determine legitimacy.
okay.
Okay, legitimacy refers to the acceptance of government or acceptability of government by the people, irrespective of the person in government or the method in which the person uses. So I'll just talk about 2 ways you can achieve legitimacy. So first, it depends on the process by which the individual, that means the political leader, in which he enters the political office. For example, now a person that enters through dictatorship without election might not be considered legitimate because it does not follow the legal framework of the country, which is democracy. And another one is through the people. When you have popularity of the majority, we are considered legitimate because the majority actually rules, especially in a democratic country. So that's what I just have to say.
But you did not list my complete five factors. Anyway, it's okay. Who else wants to try?
Okay, let me try.
All right.
Okay, let's say legitimacy. Okay, I'll say legitimacy can be defined as the right of a person to govern a state, and any law that comes from that person is binding to the people. So you asked factors that determine legitimacy. We have the rule of law, we have charisma or leadership, we have um we have periodic election, we have acceptable ideology, stable government. Is it up to five? I don't know. I-
All right, that's perfect. I'm giving you your 10 marks complete. So,
Yeah.
who else wants to try before we move on? Okay, let's just move on. Now, legitimacy,
Okay,
like we
can I
said,
try?
is it's referred to a concept that's acceptable, recognized, like this a leader that is recognized, the rules that are recognized by the people. It's considered legitimate. And the factors that determine legitimacy, like we said, good government, the custom of the people, respect. When a government, when the person respect the custom of every individual, his rule can be accepted.
Yeah.
Then the charisma, like you said, then popular support from people, periodic election. These are factors that determine what the legitimacy of what of a government. Now let's move to sovereignty. Like I said, we're rushing because we soon exhaust our time. Now, what is sovereignty? When you say sovereignty, what is sovereignty? And I think this question came out twice in the paper exam, and it was just exactly the same way they asked it. They just said, "What is sovereignty?" You see, their questions is very straightforward. So, what is sovereignty? Just imagine they ask you, "What is sovereignty?" and list. Let me just say, list four characteristics of sovereignty.
Okay, so sovereignty is derived from the Latin word supremus, and it refers to the ability of a state to make laws, to to execute laws with coercive powers, and implement laws without external interference. So, characteristics of okay, one more thing. The propounder or the core proponent of sovereignty is also Jim Borden. So the characteristics of sovereignty: first, indivisibility. So the state or the sovereign government or the sovereign, which is the political leader, must yield this kind of absolute power without the interference of external forces. Another one is independence of foreign control. The sovereign must be free from external influence. Like for example, now the issue of the bandits that happened now in Nigeria as at last year when Trump came, when he was trying to like strengthen Nigerian government. But in a sovereign area, the president or the political leader must have independence of foreign control. That even external governments cannot be able to like threaten them. Another one is absoluteness. Yes, the decree, the laws made by the sovereign must be absolute. It must be supreme. It must be final because they have coercive power over all citizens. And the last one is interconnectedness. So basically, um the the sovereign basically has the power to connect with citizen. It can basically imprison citizens who violate the laws. It can discipline citizens who violate the laws, or permit prerogative of mercy.
All right. So when you talk about, like we said, you're very much correct. So we don't have time to ask other people. We just go straight to the point. You say sovereignty means the supreme power the authority have, the supreme power and authority the state have over what its citizen to govern itself. The power the country have to govern itself is sovereignty, right? It's sovereignty. Like Nigeria is a sovereign state. Another country cannot make laws for Nigeria because we have our own sovereign power. And we cannot make law for America because America has their own sovereign power, right? So at least if we don't remember what is sovereignty, just know that, oh, sovereignty
Yeah,
means
with my own person.
Nigeria have power over themselves. They can control the everything about themselves without external what control, without external interference. Just know that. Now, what are the principle or characteristic of sovereignty? The characteristic of sovereignty, if
Oh, no,
you see this question,
I've gone.
please mute your mic. Now, the characteristic of sovereignty, we have indivisibility. It means that, what does it mean? The sovereignty cannot be divided, cannot be shared. It cannot be divided through the government. It can only be delegated. Powers can be delegated. Power cannot be divided. Just imagine that the country is divided and then this party is taking their own or taking this other party is taking their own. Excuse me. All right, so sovereignty cannot be shared. If you can't remember indivisibility, just say sovereignty cannot be divided. It can only be delegated. Power cannot be shared. Then another thing is absoluteness. It cannot be restricted. It cannot be limited. The power cannot be limited. But then we also talk about the limitation of sovereignty, because if you say power cannot be limited, then then can limit the power of any country, right? Or what can limit the power of a country? Now we talk about permanence. Permanence. Sovereignty is permanent in as much as the state exists. It doesn't change. The state does not change. The state does not die. Government changes, but state does not change. So in as much as the state exists, sovereignty exists, right? Like I said, if you can't remember all of this, just know that, oh, if state is existing, sovereignty has to exist because it cannot be changed. Then sovereignty cannot be divided. It can only be delegated. Power cannot be shared. Absoluteness, like, does not have limits. The independence, like I said, Nigeria is independent from any other country. America cannot say because we are facing crisis, therefore they are making laws for us. It's not possible. We have our own what? Our own independence, freedom to make our own laws that govern ourselves. So they cannot make laws for us. Now, what are the types of sovereignty? Imagine you are asked, list 4 types of sovereignty and explain. Types of sovereignty, let me not ask question because we are rushing. If we can just cover it too. We have the legal sovereignty. We have the political or popular sovereignty. Legal sovereignty talks about law, the enforcement laws, right? Legal laws that are made in the country. Then we have political sovereignty, the body that makes the law, right? Now we have de facto sovereignty. It refers to the body or group of people that uses force to make laws. We have international sovereignty, internal sovereignty, sorry. It refers to the supreme power the state has over itself to make laws. The external sovereignty, that other bodies cannot make laws. The power of the state to exist, conduct domestic affairs within, without any external control. That's it. So I've mentioned legal sovereignty, political sovereignty, de facto, internal, and external sovereignty. Now, this will take us to limitations of the soul. What can limit? So, what are the limitations to sovereignty? Now, without wasting time, I want you to add both internal and external limitations. If you can list 3, it's okay. So, what are the limitations to sovereignty? Because we say sovereignty cannot be limited, right? It has control over itself, the country. So, what then can limit sovereignty?
The constitution.
All right, the constitution can limit sovereignty. Very good. Who else want to try?
Duty and responsibility.
Duty and responsibility. Will I agree with you? I don't think I agree with you.
International law.
International organizations,
Yes, international organization, international laws.
foreign aids and assistance,
Yeah, yes, to some extent, because if we are depending so much on foreign assistance from foreign countries, they can limit us because they can start making decisions because well, maybe, for example, maybe we borrow money from China today. We don't have
I
power
think
because we don't have say we are owing them. So they can limit our power in some extent, okay, to an
I
extent.
think that economic dependence on
Economy.
superior nations.
Exactly. Like we depending on US.
Yes,
All
economic
right.
dependence. Um,
coup d'etat, abi coup d'etat.
Cool.
that
Coup
Yes,
d'etat. Okay. So cool, like
ethnic
cool can actually a coup can actually limit it.
ethnic rivalry.
All right, I think this is enough. Then we move to. I want to skip some listing because we don't have time. Somebody said we should actually talk about. But before we move down to, I want us to actually look at. We're not going to talk about democracy because we know what democracy is, right? So we're not going to talk about democracy. We're going to talk about socialism, communalism, communism, feudalism, capitalism. We're just going to explain them and just move straight to the next. Now, what is socialism? Everybody will talk. This time I'm not talking, I'm listening to you guys because I know it's actually sometimes I think one of the past question they listed the things they want you to explain. They will not tell you that list political ideology. They're not saying list different type of political ideology. They will just list them for you and tell you explain this ideology. And most of the ideology they can just say explain socialism, communism, communalism, capitalism, right? And what again? Feudalism and the rest. So now my question is what is socialism?
Socialism is
socialism. Okay, I think socialism refers to a political and economic system whereby the means of production and exchange of goods and services are publicly owned under the control of the government.
All right, that's correct. You can even see that in objective question. They can just ask you this that are controlled by the state is called what? A socialism, B communalism. You know how to tailor your answer. Now we're moving from socialism to communism. What is communism?
communism is a political system whereby administration in which administration and means of production and distribution are collectively owned and sorry sorry communism can be defined as a political and economic system whereby the means of production and distribution is totally owned and controlled by the state.
Okay, communism is defined as a political economic system in which the community through the common ownership collectively control all means of production, goods and services. That's it. So now, for example, I forgot to ask one question. If you should, if okay, those questions can come out in objective question. Like they said, which country operates socialism? The countries that operate socialism or under socialism, or maybe they said, okay, now what is the first country to operate to embrace socialism was what country? Or the first country to practice socialism? What is the first country to practice socialism?
Italy.
Are you sure? The first country to practice socialism.
China.
Yeah, you might see that in your objective. Really?
Is it German? Germany. Sorry.
Russia.
Yeah, very correct. Who answered the question? What's your name?
David.
Orolua.
Okay, message me after the class. So Russia was the first
Okay.
country to embrace socialism. As you can see it in your objective question. Then other countries list like who can list like 4 countries that followed? Just 4. I'm not asking for 5. 4 countries that followed under socialism that practice socialism. All these can be objective questions. Who wants to try?
China.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only one I know.
That's the only country.
That's the only one I know.
You can
North
just say
Korea.
these are countries that practice socialism except A. China, B. Poland, C. Ethiopia, D. US. What will be your option?
China.
Countries that practice socialism except
China.
A. China, except A. China, B. Poland, C. Ethiopia, D. US.
US.
China.
US.
So this is the US, that's correct.
The
So we
answer is
have
US, Ravi.
China. Yes, it's correct.
US.
So we have the China, we have Poland, we have Romania, then we have some African countries like Tanzania, Ethiopia. These are countries that practice socialism. Please take note. Now we move to
Wait.
communism. Communism, like somebody have defined it, right? Or we've defined it. Now, who are the main proponents to communism? There are 2 main proponents of communism. Who are those people?
Karl Marx and Friedrich Engel. I
Are
think,
you sure?
yeah, I
You guys
think
agree with me?
Yes.
Very good, it's correct. Those are like objective questions. So take note of them. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engel. So they practice what they are the proponents to communism. Please take notes. Now we move to capitalism. What is capitalism?
Capitalism is an economic and political ideology based where means of production,
So
distribution,
capitalism is the system of
and
government by the production, distribution,
are
and
based on private
people,
ownership.
very, very important people in the capitalist
Yes.
system, which are the bourgeoisies and the proletariats. So the bourgeoisies are the owners of the means of productions, while the proletariats are basically the working class. So in other words, the bourgeoisies are referred to the private individuals who controls the means of productions, while the proletariat are the people that basically works for capital.
proletariat.
Okay, the proletarians and the bourgeoisie, at least, thank God. That can be your, I don't know, they usually, I don't know, they usually repeat that question. They like that question a lot in objective. They just ask you, the working class are the bourgeoisie, proletariat, the this, that this. So you know your answer already. Now we move to, I think we skip something, state, which I know you guys know what is state. But then we know the characteristics of state, right? We have 6 characteristics of state. Somebody should just list them so that we move forward. What are the characteristics of state?
Define territory, sovereignty,
Population.
Permanent.
Government, permanence, definite territory.
Territory.
I need somebody to list the 6. There are six characteristics of a state. Which are?
Territory,
Mm-hmm.
population,
Mm-hmm.
government,
Mm-hmm.
sovereignty,
Mm-hmm.
shit. I think that's the only one I can
Okay, you
list.
try. Who else want to go for us? Who else want
Okay,
to
so
list the six?
I want to try.
Can I help her?
Effective. Okay, okay.
Territory.
Can I help her? The last two.
Uh, yeah, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I think is recognition and permanence.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Just two.
Okay, I should
Okay, you're
list all.
completing it. All right, okay, it's
Yes.
correct. So we have the permanence, territory, government, sovereignty, population, recognition. Now, what are the theories of a state? Now, we'll list them.
We have
Now, we'll
the
list them. We know we have the social contract theory, the force theory, the divine theory, the patriarchal theory, historical evolution theory, and there are lots of theories, right? Now, can I explain social contract theory? What is the social contract theory? Just imagine they said, explain the theories of state, and they just list like social contract theory, force theory, and divine theory. What is social contract theory?
social contract theory is a theory that argues that the state was created through the agreements among people where individuals give up some of their freedoms to a government in exchange for protection of their lives and properties.
I love that.
I
It's
love that.
straightforward answer.
Straightforward answer.
That's cool. Who just want to try?
Okay, just as she said earlier that social contract theory is about agreement that individual and society before they surrender their rights. That's why Thomas Hobbes, John Locke, and Ginger Russo state that a state of nature, that's a primitive society, was nasty, brutish, solitary, and life was short. So, due to the state that was placed,
Let me give you additional
okay,
5 marks first. Bonus mark. I
yes,
love that. That's cool. All right.
due to this the primitive society, it was anarchy. So individual was not life was not guaranteed in such society. So individuals surrender some of their rights in order for them to maintain peace and order. So the process of them surrendering their sovereignty to a group of individuals to establish an institution in order to safeguard individual property that is what brings to emergence of a modern state.
Scholar. Very good. I love that. You're a scholar. Thank you very much. That's correct. Very, very correct. So we know what are the proponents to this social contract theory. Who are the proponents to it?
Thomas Hobbes, Ginger Russo, and John Locke.
Right. All right. That's perfect. I love that. You are good to go. While we're holding this class, when we have scholars, there are a lot of scholars in our midst. That's great. So now we'll be moving to, I think we've explained communism, capitalism, we talked about the bourgeoisie. Now let's talk about feudalism. What is feudalism?
Okay, so feudalism is the ideology that is based on land ownership. So in the feudalism ideology, we have two major class, the lord and the serfs. So the lord are just like the capitalism, the lords are the owners of the land, while the serfs are like, I'm just using that example. They are basically the tenants, the people who actually wants to live in the house, and they want to gain the house. That's why under the Marxist theory of it,
All right, now let's go to some objective question, please. There's no time.
Hello,
For
please.
example,
I
we're
want to
asked,
add.
for
Hello, please. I
example,
want to add.
you want to add?
Yes.
Okay,
He made
okay.
mention of that basically that are true, but I think it is what I know. It is three. We have the feudal lord, we have the vassal before the serf. So the lord are the landowner. Then they rented this land to vassal, in which the vassal, however, hand over this land to the serf are the one that is working under this farm. So they pay tribute to the vassal. Then the vassal give in return the account to the feudal lord. So there are three major people that plays role in the feudal system, and um it was it was operated during the medieval system,
Some
medieval
people
era.
after collective ownership, some people now said them they are the land.
I think that thing you just mentioned is very important because most time those questions are asked in objective question. So it was operated in the medieval era. Yeah, very good. And we have the feudal lords, the those one solution. So now I think we'll be moving fast. There's no time, please, because we can't cover everything. You know, the syllabus is very bulky. That's why I'm trying to rush. Now we're moving to fact. There's a question I want to ask because I don't want us to define based on maybe objective questions. And maybe we're asked, fascism was operated in Italy under whose government?
Benito Mussolini. And
Do you guys agree with him?
Yes.
All right.
Mussolini.
Then totalitarianism was operated in Germany under who?
Adolf
Adolf
Hitler.
Hitler.
Nazism was operated in Germany under who?
Adolf
Adolf
Hitler.
Hitler.
Same thing about Hitler. Sometimes they twist the question and ask, maybe they will say Benito Mussolini fascism was in which country? They can just say Italy or this, that, or maybe Adolf Hitler totalitarianism was operated in which country? Don't remember that it's Germany. So you should their name self to determine where you position there. Now we'll talk about I don't know if they get I said we should talk about the characteristic of government is still here. We have the unitary government, federal government, presidential government. I don't think that question anyway, we don't know the question that they were asked here. So now we're talking about unitary system of government. When you talk about unitary system of government, we know it's defined as one in which all powers and authority is what for the exercise of or the running of a country is what is handled or concentrated in the hand of one particular person of a single central government. If you agree with me, I don't know if I'm too fast. Let me be slow and explain it well. So when you talk about unitary government, it means the power is controlled by only one single government. Power is not divided, just the way we have federal system with different arms. It's not like that in unitary. So one single person operates. It has a centralized power. So that central power is what is governed by one single person. You understand? Now, when you talk about features of unitary states, now before we go for feature, because most time you see your objective question that the countries that operated unitary government, we have the Britain, France, Italy, because Nigeria cannot even operate unitary system of government, but there was a time we actually did all of this. So the Britain, France, and Italy, they operate what's the unitary system of government. Now, what are the features of the unitary system of government? Unitary system of government is best practice. I don't want to use big grammar, but the easiest way is homogeneous state. What is homogeneous state? Like a state that they speak only one language, they practice the same culture. Like Nigeria, you cannot unitary system of government cannot hold here because Nigeria is big. We have different ethnic groups, right? So if you want to talk about the features of unitary government, it means that the place is best practice in a homogeneous country, in a homogeneous state, where there are no different languages, different region, different political belief. Then in a small country, it is best practice in a small country So the system is easy to practice in a small country like Italy, and it's flexible. Their constitution is flexible, it can be easily amended, it can be changed to suit them, right? It can be changed. There's no conflict of authority. It means that they are not, no, how would they share their power? They don't have any argument on how would this power be delegated. There's no conflict of authority because the whole power is concentrated in a single government, right? In a single government. Like I said, let me repeat, is practiced in homogeneous states. Something like Nigeria cannot practice unitary system of government. Then in a small country, can easily function in a small country. It's flexible. Like power is delegated. The power can be delegated to different people, but it's not shared. Now, why do people actually adopt unitary system of government? It's still the same features. When you talk about features combine both the advantage and disadvantages. Now, the reason why people adopt it is because of the homogeneous factors. Is best practice in a state where there is no different languages and the rest, right? Practice in small country, like I said, and then uh uh no conflict of
quick decision.
authority, absence of tribal grouping the way we have Nigeria. This one Igbo different, no. So it's best. That's the reason for adopting it. Then what are the advantages of it? It's less expensive to run the country. It's less expensive. Quick actions and decisions are made quick because it's only one person. So there is no room for different people coming, putting their heads together to pass laws, write laws, deliberate on this. No, decisions are just made. They are flexible, like I said. Right now, we move to the disadvantages. Dictatorship. Once somebody is operating everything, because you don't seek other people's opinion, you just want to impose your rules. So it's actually difficult. Then, uh, what again? Tension, unemployment. Only one person operating, you don't see what the other people have. They are suffering, no job. You don't really pay attention to them because it's only one person that is operating, that is governing everybody. So it's difficult. The issue of minority are not looked into. They will just come. They don't consider them. They don't look into their issues. These are the disadvantages. Now we'll talk about the. I think this class is supposed to end by 9:30. Now we'll talk about federal system of government, right? What is federal system of government? No, before federal system of government, let's talk about the presidential system of government, which we are operating in Nigeria. So the presidential system of government is defined as one which the head of state of a country is also the head of government. So they have executive power. So the executive power is vested by one person, is vested on one person, in one person. So, and the person has the title of the executive power. It can make laws and everything. What are the functions of the president? We all know the functions of the president, so we don't need to go into details about that. We don't need to go. Now, what are the advantages of presidential system of government? There's check and balance. So there's check and balances. It's popularly elected. In the presidential system of government, the person does not just rise to become president, he is elected. There's separation of power, right? It is democratic. They give right to every citizen to make their decision. There's a fixed term of office, which means the power will elapse. Unlike unitary system, they can rule forever, like Adolf Hitler. They are just there because there's no other political party. They are just there. But in presidential system of government, they have fixed term of office, right? Popularly elected. There's enough time, there's check and balance, there's division of power. But what is the disadvantage? What are the disadvantages? Vetoing of B. The president can misuse that power to veto a B. He can misuse the power. But then it does not mean that the legislation cannot pass law. Without the president's consent, the laws can still pass. Can somebody tell me how that law can be passed without the consent of the president? If he veto a bill,
Two-third majority in the legislative
two-third
house
majority of what?
of the legislative of National Assembly. Well,
Very good. So the two-third majority of the legislative can still what? Can still put that law. So they will have to pass it again and sign it into bill. That's it. Then another thing in a presidential system of government is very the impeachment process is difficult. Have you ever heard that they impeach a president? I don't think I've heard it all. That a president was impeached. I've not heard it. So that process is difficult because impeachment of a president is like creating a new state. The process you use in creating a new state to two-thirds of the National Assembly, or the process of amending a constitution, which is also two-thirds of the National Assembly. So before you will get those people to sign, it's difficult. So it's the process of impeachment is very, very, very difficult, right? It's very difficult. And there are a lot of disadvantages. It costs, like I said, it costs. It's very expensive to operate, right? Now that will move us to parliamentary system of government. Now we'll leave this explanation to Nehas. What is
So,
parliamentary system of government?
excuse me, please. In that disadvantages of presidential system of government, can we also say that possibility of abuse of power? Can we also say that one?
Yep. Yes, power can be abused.
By what
Power can
way?
be abused. The president can abuse power, which is when it comes to vetoing a bill, he can abuse the power. Sometimes they just want to make laws that are not reasonable because they have the power. But then the good thing is that the legislature is there to correct all of these. That's it. So power can be abused. That's why we
Like,
said if the
what do we
president
what
veto
do we
a
what
bill,
do we mean by like dictate? What do we mean by risks of dictatorship? Yes,
what do you mean by what?
risks of dictatorship.
Means of dictatorship?
Risks.
In what way?
Like if the constitutionalism, like if the constitution is if the constitution limits are ignored.
Risks of dictatorship means like abuse of power. They can use their
So
power for personal gain.
okay.
Some people can use their power for personal gain. For example, there's this new law. I won't say it's a personal gain, sorry to say, but the way people actually sees it, I think you've heard about changing our NYSC uniform to Akara,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
Very
Yes, ma'am.
good. Now, and people are complaining that why Akara when everybody is going for NYC. Me, I'm an Urobo, Igbo, Hausa, Yoruba, everybody will put on Akara. It's just like they feel that most people will say, oh, because the president is a Yoruba, you want to change everybody to Yoruba, so that will be very Akara, right? That's like for personal gain. Why would you tell an Igbo man to wear Akara or Hausa man to wear Akara? Is that not favoring only one particular ethnic group? Some people will like, this is not good. You cannot expect me to be wearing Akara. Me, Yoruba man, okay, everybody should just be dressing their own different cultural dressing. Let me tie my wrapper. You wear your igele, wear your dagba. I'm not gonna say okay, we dey go dey serve the country, right? But then It's already there, and everybody agreed to it. Okay, we are wearing akara. I don't know if it's still holding, but some people are frowning. They say, "Why should you, Igbo man, will be wearing akara?" It's like we want to make everybody Yoruba. Let's know that the whole country is Yoruba. That kind of thing. So all those kind of thing is like the abuse of power. It's the dictatorship. They're wearing akara. You wear akara. This one wear akara. We'll come together and put NYSC. So that is it again. Then another thing is corruption, poor decision making, political instability, economic problem. All these are dictatorship and abuse of power as well.
A question.
All right.
I want to ask, you said there's abuse of power, but why is there abuse of power when we have check and balance? Like when in presidential system of government, like when a particular arm of government is trying to like abuse power, we have other arms of government that will check on them. So why is abuse of power a disadvantage in a presidential system of government?
Maybe like in my own suggestion, I think maybe if the president is too powerful,
If the president is too powerful,
yes ma'am.
how?
I would like to talk.
Your question, you said, why is there abuse of power when there is what? There is check and balance, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Some people can actually misuse that power. That's why we have the disadvantages and advantages. There are some decisions that the president will make. Forget the fact that the president is the power can be controlled by the legislature, but there are some decisions they will make that will affect the people. That's abuse of power. That will affect the people. And most time, to check on this power, even when the legislation they say no, the court still need to come to it. The court is the final say. Even if the legislation say no, they don't have the final say, they will still go to the court. And when the court, a judge is appointed by the president, a judge is appointed by the president. For example, maybe a corrupt judge is appointed by the president, and you take that matter to the court to say, Mr. President is saying this, I will disagree. And now this is what is happening. We want you to give us the final. And you know the Supreme Court has the final decision. It can actually favor the president by saying, okay, this should be. And once the Supreme Court said that, it holds. Being the legislature, they have to follow. In a way, the power has been abused. Forget the fact that they have the legislature to check it. It has been abused. You can use monies for your own personal purpose. Even the legislation, you can corrupt them. They won't say anything. That's an abuse of power. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma.
Yes. They just use it for that. Even if a government wants to pick an official, if you want to appoint an official, even the legislation, they have to what? They have to agree to it. They have the final say to the president's appointment. He can appoint whoever he wants. And if the legislation, they disagree, let's go to the court. And if the court is corrupt, it will favor the president. The court will favor, so the court has the final say. That's why most of the time they said, do not, they actually, they are I think they are suggesting that when it comes to the judiciary, the president should not be the one to appoint the judges. They should not appoint judges, because if they appoint judges, they will be biased because you want to favor the person that appointed you. But when they are different, they are not appointed by any of the presidents, they are appointed by the different bodies that come together, the legislative body. they will have their own discretion because they won't have to now be saying, okay, because I want to be loyal to Mr. President, therefore this case is this, and is favoring the president. In a way, even with check and balances, it will not work. Because, for example, like I said, I think there is one this thing they took to the court about local government, making local government independent. They took it to the court. There was a bill that was passed that said local government should be made independent, and the president disagreed. They took it to the court. Imagine the court is being biased and is appointed by the president. It would just say, this, Mr. President has the final say. Even with that, there's nothing can be done by the legislature when the Supreme Court has given the final judge. He has given the final judgment. Forget the fact that it's the legislature that makes the law, but the Supreme Court has the final judgment. Any other question? Are we good to go? Should we call it a night? I think we've exceeded the time. We still
Ma,
have
please,
like
End at 2 o'clock now. Let's
ma,
end
please, I
by
want to ask
10.
a question.
so let's end by 10.
Ma, please,
Alright,
let me
go
ask a
ahead.
question. Okay, please differentiate between power and influence. Sorry for taking you back to what we has already passed. Can you hear me?
Differentiate what?
Differences between power and influence.
We're going back. Okay,
Sorry for
power.
that.
We said it's fine. We said power is the ability to what? To control others people's action, right? Then influence is the ability to persuade. I don't know if power, you control people's action. They must obey. It's an order. You give action. And if they disobey, it goes with sanction. But influence, you persuade people, you convince them without using force. You're influencing them. Now you can influence people's behavior. Even sometimes in school, there are some things you do in school. You don't know you're influencing people. They want to follow what you are doing, the trend. In a way, you're influencing them. Did you force them? No. But they are just following like that. But in power, when it comes to power, you need to force them. You must do it. If you don't do it, this is the penalty for it. Right? Now, people obey people in authority when it comes to force. People may obey because they have to. They don't have any option. If they give a rule, they have to obey. But in influence, people follow because they just want to. I don't know if you understand. Power, you don't have
Yes, yes,
option.
ma'am.
Whether you like it or not, you must obey. But influence, people just want to, they want to follow. You don't have to force them. I just choose to follow. Right? If power is using force, influence does not use force. I don't know if
Ma,
you
on that note,
understand.
yes, ma, on that note, can we say that power is coercive while influence is persuasive?
Very good, yes. So power is coercive because it uses force, and influence is just persuasive. You don't have to force
Okay.
anybody. If you want to wear earring, another person like the fact that you're wearing earring. Did you force the person to wear the earring? No. You just influence the person because of the way you dress, and the person likes it and he wishes to dress like you. You did not force the person. But in power, you are wearing earring, therefore as you are following me, you need to wear earring. If you don't, you leave my group or you face this. And people will have to, even if though they don't want to, they have to because that is your rule. You must obey whether you like it or not. But if let's you want to wear earring, no, okay, it's left for you if you wish to. That's it. So, any other question?
Thank you, ma.
Any other question? And we'll call it a night. We could not cover a lot, but at least to some extent.
10
Somebody
minutes
was saying
more.
we should start by 10. Should
Ten
we
minutes
continue?
more.
All
Yes,
right.
let's continue.
Now I want to ask a fundamental question, which I think I don't know which year they asked, because I'm picking the question based on past questions. What is the difference between presidential system and parliamentary system? Yes, ask your question before we answer that.
Yes, ma, I have a question. The question I want to ask is that please, can you try to shed light to the concept of political ideology and anarchism?
Concept of what?
The political ideology and anarchism. That anarchism, a different topic.
I did not get you. I can't hear you very well.
Political ideology and anarchism.
Anarchism?
And political ideology.
Please type it because I can't really hear you. Type your question.
Wait, are you asking the difference between political ideology and anarchism?
Is that what you're asking? Type, please, because I can't get what she's saying. I don't really define political ideology. We just talk about the different political ideology. But political ideology, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Is she here? Political ideology, I did not really get your question, but what I think you are saying, anarchism, right? Political ideology, like we stated some political ideology, which is socialism, capitalism, communist fascism, and the rest. Now, political ideology is a set of belief. Take notes. Political ideology, they are just their set of belief, their values, how will I put it? Their ideas,
Principle,
right?
ideas,
They're
belief.
different, very good. There are different ideas about how I think how a society should be governed, right? How a society should be governed.
Yes,
That is just it.
it could also be the ideas, belief, values, principles that shapes and guides an individual or government understanding of the world and their actions.
Exactly. So that's political ideology. Now, the political ideologies are socialism, capitalism, and the rest we've mentioned. Then you're talking about anarchism, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what you're saying? Anarchism is an ideology too, but it believes that governments and um, all forms of government should be abolished. All form of compulsory authority should be abolished. So it's like it argues that people can organize society through their voluntary cooperation, community, without any government. That is anarchism. Like any form of compulsory authority, government, their policies, they don't want it. So they actually oppose the existence of state. They reject authority, rejection of authority. They believe that people can just manage their affair without government. They don't need government to manage their affair. That's just what anarchism is. I don't know if that's what you are asking, or that's it. But I don't think it's part of JUPEP syllabus. It's only political ideology that's part of it, which I've discussed with you guys. Right? So I think we have 5 minutes to go. Let's talk about the differences between presidential system of government and parliamentary system of government before we go.
Yes, the difference between presidential system of government and parliamentary system of government, that we already know that in the presidential system of government, the functions of both the head of the state and the function of both the head of the state and the head of government, yes, are vested on only one person. While in the cabinet or parliamentary system, it is both the function of the head of the state and head of the government are shared between the monarch and the prime minister. Another difference is that in the presidential system of government, there is principle of separation of power, while in the parliamentary system of government, it allows fusion of power. That is there is no separation of power. Then under the presidential system of government, the individual is responsible for any of the actions, while in the parliamentary system it is collective responsibility. That is, let me say if a minister is found wanting, that is all the ministers in the cabinet are to receive the blame. Another another difference is that there is periodic election under the presidential system of government, but in the parliamentary system of government, the ten ure of office is not secured. That is, they lose their vote, they lose their confidence if the electorate don vote them, right. Den another difference is that the president is elected by the electorate, while the minister, that the prime minister, is selected among the members of the parliament. Den another difference is that the executive power, like the real executive power, is performed by the president under the presidential system, while the real executive power is performed by the prime minister, while the ceremonial power is performed by the monarch. Yes, these are the little I can.
Those are not little, they are much. Oh. That's perfect. Thank you very much. I love that. Okay, I think these few minutes I will just use it to ask some questions. We still have another class before this, and this week is just revision week, so there are a lot of things we still have to cover. But then I want to ask some questions that I think will be asked in objective question. Mhm. What is the function of the waziri in the Fulani pre-colonial system of government?
Okay, the function of the waziri is seen as the prime minister, and also is actually in charge of the administrative capital.
Okay. Are you sure he's charge of the capital? I will not agree with you on that.
No, no, no.
Exactly. So what's the function of the Galadima? You can see those things in. I don't want you to you should just stick in your head because most time you see it in objective question. What's the function of the Galadima?
He administers the finance capital.
Okay. So the Waziri, the head of the officials, the Galadima in charge of the capital. Now who is the in charge who is the commander of the army?
Madawaki.
Okay. For those of you that don't know this, yes, you want to ask question. What's your name? Monuruddin. Ask your question. Is he still here?
Yeah, I'm still here. I was raising my hand then when she was about dictatorship in parliamentary system of government. Time is
Okay,
uh,
you want to contribute to that?
yes, yes, and
All right, we're listening. At least we can get a lot of listening to
okay.
from it.
Yeah, when you talk about dictatorship in parliamentary system of government, is that you know the in parliamentary we have the power share with um uh, president and then the fact that it's actually endowed with more power, so it can turn into a dictatorship power actually. So that's the aspect that the dictatorship actually comes from. You know, the fact that it can actually veto bill, and then the judiciary aspect too, it can act on it, maybe prorogate of mercy and all those stuff. So at times, that's the part of the negative aspect is task actually.
Okay. Okay. That's good. All right.
Thank you. Yes.
I think that should be all. Now I think we're behind time, so I don't think we have any. But the next thing we'll be looking at now, we'll be looking at the different political crises in Nigeria, which we'll be doing next week. Then we'll be talking about the different organizations like AU and the rest. We'll be talking about election and then the independent political constitution, and also I think just drop most of the things you think are difficult for you to understand in this thing. You can drop them here. I will screenshot them and then we'll look at them. I think we'll talk about nationalism. Yes, we'll talk about public administration. I think that's all. I think those are the difficult courses, right? Am I communicating? That will be for our next class.
Nationalist movement.
You said?
I said nationalist movement.
Oh yeah, nationalist movement. And then we have the invasion of European. The European before African invasion. I think that's another difficult. But I don't think I've ever seen that question in any of the past questions before. But we'll stick to it because UPEP can surprise us. So I think that will be for the next class. Come prepared. Keep your questions. Study hard. This is a revision class. It's not that we're teaching or taking the place of your lecturer. It's just a revision class. So don't feel relaxed and say, okay, they're teaching us from the start. Go and read. If you don't understand anything, we're just trying to remind ourselves of everything we've read instead of carrying our book, and sometimes we feel lazy, we don't know where to start from. So from here we can actually get one or two things. I think that's all. So please prepare yourself for your exam. It's on Monday. We only have 1 week. Don't feel it's like 2 weeks. That 1 week self, don't be seeing it as 1 week. Just say to yourself, exam is in 2 days time. So that is, but don't panic. If you panic, you will not do well. And don't pay for any expo because you'll be disappointed, honestly. Because JUPEP, they have their different method. Last year, what they did last year might be different from what they are going to do this year. This year might be even tough. Yes, so don't pay for any expo. Read, get your 16 points and boast that, oh, I read and I got the 16 points myself without any malpractice. And you'll be proud of it. When people are talking, you say, I did JUPEB. JUPEB is difficult, but I got 16 points. I got 14 points. I got 13 points. I don't want to get 11 points. So I'm looking for 12 points and above. I don't want. So challenge yourself. Me, I don't want 12 points. So you're getting 13 and above. So you start challenging yourself now. Thank you very much for actually participating. And Berlin conference, yeah. Berlin conference, political parties. Okay, I think I should screenshot your list. Okay. Just drop them, yeah. The things you want us to focus on in our next class, just drop them here. Let me screenshot them and then we'll just follow that pattern next week. Can you start dropping them? Somebody said Berlin Conference approaches to the study of government, military, invasion of politics. All right. Okay. Is that all? Political parties during the first, second. Oh, I bet this is a very difficult topic too. All right. Public administration, constitution. All right. Just drop those topics you feel they're just so difficult that you cannot just, you don't feel like reading them, but you need to read. Just drop them. Okay, international relation, foreign policies, public administration. All right. I guess that's all right. All right, we'll call it a night then. Military intervention. Okay. All right. Oh, you can still drop it. Political ideology. I think we've okay, political ideology. We've not I think we've done political ideologies now. Like communalism, federalism, we've done that.
Yeah, we've done it now.
Yeah, so we're not focusing on that. Oh, democratization. All right. Think it's fun. Okay, good night, everyone. I have a good night rest. Thank you very much for actually showing up and see you in the next class.
Bye, ma. Good night.
Good
Yeah,
night,
good
ma.
night, love. Good
Good
night.
night,
Good
ma.
night. Wishing you success, please. I want you people to show me your 12.2 so that we should share from your joy.
Okay, ma.
Good night, ma. Oh, yeah, bye. Good
Good
night.
night, ma.
Good night, everybody. That's the how are you? How are you? Just played the corner. Is that something? You can go now.
Ella, it's now your journey, Nabi. Ella, it's not your mate joining the class.